I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is Leonard Cohen. Anthem is the name of the song. Brought to us by Visa.
Yep.
Shout out to the big homie Visa. That's really his name?
I'm assuming so, but I don't know.
Okay.
How would I know?
All right.
That's what he told me.
Name of the song is Anthem by the big homie Leonard Cohen. For timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America Vin and Sori. And I'm looking right now, and the latest video with one of our newest hosts on the show, DL Beluga, is going up right now
As we speak.
Have we released the debate yet between myself and Mr. Beluga?
Oh, I don't know.
That's
It was
going
put up.
That's going up on Patreon, ladies and gents. There's a debate between myself and Mr. DL Beluga about the wage gap, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So that's going up on Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, there are multiple ways to get your song reviewed. My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You join an alliance, you put your points together, and that determines what songs we listen to. Now, if you're a filthy capitalist like Sori and you want to hop, skip, and jump in front of everybody, then you'll take this option, $125 at the gate, get you straight to the head of the line, and then if you do that 3 times, like this is coming up on its 3rd one, right? You get pushed down to the $75 rate. So there you are. So keep that in mind the next time you do one, Visa. Having said that, let's do it. Leonard Cohen, Anthem, let's go.
Thank you so much for your warm hospitality.
Well, he's live here.
We are so grateful to play for you. I heard that. Thank you so much, friends. We're so privileged to be able to gather in moments like this when so much of the world is plunged in darkness and chaos.
Wow.
So, ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in.
That's deep. Holy moly.
The birds they sang at the break of day. Start again, I seem to hear them say. Do not dwell on what has passed away or what is yet to be. Yeah, the wars, they will be fought again. The holy dove, she will be caught again. Bought and sold and bought again. The dove is never free. Ring the bell that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. We asked for signs, and the signs were sent. The birth betrayed, the marriage spent. Yeah, the widowhood of every single government. Signs for all to see. I can't run no more. that lawless crowd, while the killers in high places say their prayers out loud. Ah, but they've summoned up a thundercloud, and they're gonna hear from me. Ring the bell that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. You won't have the sum. You can strike up the march on your little broken drum. Every heart to love will come, but like a refugee. Ring the bell that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. A crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. Javier Mas on the banduria. Dino Soldo on the instrument of wind.
What is that?
On the electric guitar, Bob Metzger. Our timekeeper on the drums, Rafael Bernardo Gallo. Hammond B3 and the keyboards, the impeccable Neil Larson. My collaborator, Sharon Robinson. Hattie and Charlie Webb, the sublime Webb sisters. stand-up bass and the electric bass, our musical director, Roscoe Beck. Thank you so much for your kind attention. We'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you, friends.
Good Lord. He's a nice guy.
Yes.
You know, like
he is.
you can kind of tell somebody's nice.
Yeah.
And he seems like a really, really nice guy.
Yeah.
He's like one of those like last of his generation type people.
I want him to be your grandfather or something.
Yeah, I never really talked to any grandfathers. You always say that, like you want John Piper to be your grandfather or whatever. Like I don't know what that means when you say that.
Well, I think that, you know, like when I think of a grandparent, maybe I'm like Hollywooding them, but like I picture someone who's like genuinely interested in, like I picture like when the kids have kids, you know, whoa, we're having kids since we're so old. We're having kids so old that I'm not really sure how it would work itself out, but most people are done having kids. And then you can appreciate your grandkids, not while you're still raising kids of your own.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, like, I picture the kids bring their kids around, and by then our kids would be grown. And so, you know, when they're teenagers and they're going through all those teenager struggles and frustrations where they're, you know, like, teenagers go through stuff where I feel like our teenagers they're kind of weird because they like talking with us. But that's not generally the case. Like, usually they want to talk to somebody other than their parents because they feel like their parents are so unreasonable.
Do you think it may have to do with the fact that they're allowed to have dissenting opinions?
Probably. It probably has to do with that.
Which you hate. Which you hate me for.
Well, sometimes, yeah. But anyway, I think, you know, your grandparents should be, like, the ones that you should be able to go to and talk to. Like, for instance, this is really terrible, but like I went to my memes when I was a teenager and I was so angry.
Her memes, her grandmother.
Yeah, it's French. I was super angry with my dad, and she's like one of those moms that would like curse at her own kids and like call him a son of a bitch or something like that, you know? Like, and so she wasn't like my parents, you know? So anyway, so I went over there and I was like visiting her. Well, she knew that there was some fight between my dad and I going on. And she was like, oh, what's going on? You know, you could talk to Meme. And so I started talking a little bit, but in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, this is her son. Like, I can't say too much, you know? And she goes,
you can't blast a big homie.
Well, yeah, you know, because, and then she's like, she goes, yeah, sometimes your father can be a real son of a bitch. And I was like, I couldn't believe that she said that. And then she started like airing out her grievances against him to me.
So inappropriate.
So like there was like
so inappropriate.
part of it that I felt like was like I did need to talk a little bit, but at the same time I don't think she should have vented to me.
See, if my mom was around and like Zoe, especially Zoe, like that they would have had a lot of those types of conversations about you, about your brother. For sure.
But anyway, so like I picture a grandfather to be like kind of like a spiritual guide, but somebody that you can also like, so you can go to them and tell them what's going on, but they're not like so stiff that every time you say something they're like, well, that's wrong and you need to get some correct mindset. They listen to you. Maybe grandma's baking some cookies while they're just kind of like talking with you. Like I picture this kind of calm environment where you can talk and they're gonna remind you that like seasons change and you know like things are hard now, but they're not always gonna, like John Piper said that, and that was like one of the words that helped me through like some really, really dark postpartum depression after Selah, he was like, you know, things are hard. They're not always going to be hard. That like one day, like the skies are going to break open and it's going to be like the glories of Christ are going to be revealed and stuff like that. So I picture a grandparent to be like that, but just like small, on a smaller level, because they're like personally interested in your life. But it was never the case with my grandparents, because my grandfather is Catholic, like completely hardcore Catholic, and because my parents were Protestant, it was like there was such a big gap.
Yeah, they
so
were. Your parents were like.
My parents
not
left
only
the
were
Catholic
they
Church.
right. That's the thing. They left Catholicism, and
Yeah.
you know.
Right. So
It's not like me being a Protestant.
Right. So I didn't have that environment with my grandparents. Plus, I think, to be honest with you, they friggin' had 7 kids. So they had 7 kids, and those 7 kids went on to all have pretty big families. Like, there was very few of them that only had 2 kids. Most of them had, you know, more than 2 kids, which 2 is the typical number, but like the biggest one had like 5 or 6 kids. You know what I mean? So I think that there was just so many grandkids, because there was so many kids, that it just makes it harder to be like individually interested in each of the grandkids. It's like, oh, more kids. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, because they had 7 kids, they were having kids they still had teenagers at home when I was like running around climbing up onto my uncle's lap. Like, he was still living in his parents' house.
Right.
So you have grandkids, but you still have kids, which I kind of think is going to end up being our situation. You know what I mean? Like, Dorian's 15,
right,
and we're still planning on having kids for another few years.
Yeah.
So it's like 5 years from now, that would put Dorian at 20. I mean, some kids get married at 18.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if Dorian got married at 18.
I wouldn't
That wouldn't
either.
surprise me at all.
I wouldn't either.
So yeah.
But so he has like that kind of grandfather appeal to me. And like what he was saying, like just appreciating like not all the world is in like this good place, like.
Yeah, it you know, it says the wars, they will be fought again. The holy dove, she will be caught again, bought and sold and bought again. The dove is never free, which I'm assuming is, you know, a Noah's Ark reference. You know, when Noah sent the bird out to catch the thing, and that's how he knew when it was time for to get off the ark. So
that's so interesting. That's not what I thought of at all. For me, when I heard the dove part, I was just thinking about, you know, like how life kind of goes through cycles, and it's hard because it's so small. Where's that dove part? Right there.
Yeah.
The holy dove, she will be caught again. I was just thinking about bought and sold and bought again. Just like how, if you look at like different cultures or really anything, like people will get free and then they get tangled back up and stuff like that. So that was kind of what I saw on that part. But I didn't think anything about Noah's Ark.
Yeah, it just looks to me like that because he's using biblical imagery. I mean, he talks about the perfect offering.
Yeah.
Which obviously is a biblical reference to. It's fun. I just got done doing a debate where that particular concept was front and center as a thing. It just looked like he's talking about. He's basically saying, you know, we're always going to have war. You know, on the meta level, life is always going to suck. So don't wait till you have everything like completely perfect in order to, you know, do good in the world.
Yeah, I used to love reading quotes. I had like this whole book of quotes. I don't even know what happened to it now, but it said like, if we wait till absolutely everything is perfect, we shall never begin. Right.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. People go like, you know, I can never have kids, bring kids into this horrible world. It's like, well, if you say that the world is horrible, then you're sitting in judgment of the world, so that means that you're not as horrible as the rest of the world that you're talking about, in which case, raise your kids to be as good as you are, and you know, because the bad people keep having kids, right? So, actually, that's actually not true. The opposite is happening, which is why I'm very optimistic about the future.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's a whole other ball of wax. But yeah, I think that's you know, there's a hint of optimism in this song in the sense of, like, there's multiple ways you can look at optimism. One way is to say it's dark right now, but eventually there's going to be light, and light is always going to win and overcome, which is which is my worldview, we're post-millennials, so we believe that eventually light is going to be the dominant experience of everybody on the planet. But there's another type of optimism that's like, don't go quietly into the night. Rage against the dying of the light or whatever. And that speaks to the inevitability of death and things like that, sort of nihilistically speaking. But at the same time, it is optimistic or positive in the sense of saying, don't go quietly, like live as much as you can while you're alive, because everything's going to eventually suck. And so it's that second type of optimism that this song has, which is, look, this is always going to happen. It's going to continue in a cycle. But if you can do some good in the world and do it, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you can make music, you can ring the cracked bell, yada, yada, yada. And I think that's just an important concept for people to get, because there's a lot of really dark things going on in the world, and if you only focus on that and you don't focus on what you can do about it, then there's gonna be a lot of trouble. So it's a good song. There's a lot of wisdom in it. What did you give it?
It was a little bit boring for me. Like I liked it. I like his voice, and he's got that grandfather feel. I like that, but then it was just, I don't know, like I kind of felt like it was dragging a little bit. So I think I'm gonna go with like an 8.2.
Well, it was a 6.5 minute song. So like the extended instrumental, and then he was introducing all his bandmates and stuff was well, I thought that was pretty cool. But he's an interesting cat to me because he doesn't really have a lot of vocal talent. You don't look at him and go, oh my god, this is Ronnie James
vocally
Dio.
He's not crazy, yeah.
It's almost like he's narrating when he's not really singing. His backup singers are singing, but he's kind of narrating, which is really, really interesting to me. But lyrically, he's so powerful lyrically, and the arrangements are so good sonically that it works for him. So I'm going to give it a solid 9. Solid 9. Shout out to the big homie. Much love to everybody. Do the best that you can with the time that you have, I suppose. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.
I seem to hear them say, do not dwell on what has passed away or what is yet to be. Yeah, the wars, they will be fought again. The holy dove, she will be caught again. Bought and sold and bought again. The dove is never free. Ring the bell that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. We asked for signs, and the signs were sent. The birth betrayed, the marriage spent. Yeah, the widowhood of every single government. Signs for all to see. I can't run no more with that lawless crowd, while the killers in high places say their prayers out loud. Ah, but they've summoned up a thundercloud, and they're gonna hear from me. Ring the bell that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. You can add up the parts, but you won't have the sum. You can strike up the march on your little broken drum. Every heart to love will come, but like a refugee, ring the bell that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in.